Alrighty, everybody, welcome to today's webinar. Thanks for joining us. Smart Recognition meets continuous performance. And we're going to be talking about the all-new Bonusly Achieve, which we're really excited to share with you today. Today, you're going to be hearing from myself, Director of Growth Marketing, as well as Deborah Squires, our Chief Customer Officer. Quick look at the agenda, and then I'll turn things over to Deborah. So we're going to talk about the scenario that we're hearing a lot of our customers are in right now, and the advantage that you've got as being a Bonusly customer. Then we're going to talk about today's workplace demand, as well as modern solutions for that, and then we're going to give you an actual look at Bonusly Achieve. So without further ado, I'll turn things over to Deborah.
Thanks so much, Sarah. And thanks everybody for being here with us today. This is a topic that is truly near and dear to our hearts here at Bonusly. Our mission is to make work better, and we have the fortune of working with 3,000 plus customers globally to do just that. And we're really excited to share with you the latest developments through Bonusly Achieve in today's webinar. But first, let's start with a very relatable tale. The good news is because you are Bonusly customers, you're in a really great position. But this is what we hear and see with many of the prospects out in the marketplace. And this is a pretty common tale. So bear with me here. We're going to start by introducing you to a fictional company, MailCork. MailCork is US based, has about 500 employees globally. And it's about 10 years old. It's a marketing automation platform. So MailCork has a relationship with their employees where they're allowed to either work hybrid in some of the key markets where they have locations or fully remote employees. And that's totally up to employees. So they offer a lot of flexibility. I mentioned they have about 500 employees globally, but they only have a very tiny HR department. If that resonates for you, I hear you. That's almost always the case in mid-market sized companies. There are definitely more employees and more needs than the HR team has capacity to take on. So we feel you for sure. So this is a regionally based company with locations where people can come into the office. They offer hybrid, but it's totally at the employee's discretion. So you have a lot of flexibility. That's something definitely employees are looking for. I'm going to introduce you to some of the marketing team at MailCork. So we'll start with Bob. Bob is a marketing manager with MailCork. He started about a year ago. He works completely remotely. He has the opportunity to work cross-functionally quite a bit. So he's at the center of some of the key marketing initiatives and programs, and he works across a variety of departments to execute on those programs. He has really enjoyed his time at MailCork, but he's starting to feel a little bit disconnected from the organization. So he noticed, last month was his anniversary, and not a single person wished him a happy anniversary. There was no kind of recognition of that key milestone. And a few months before, his birthday was missed at the company all hands, where every month they celebrate the monthly birthdays. So he's feeling a little disconnected from the company. He enjoys his work. He enjoys the people that he works with, but he feels like the company is just a little bit disconnected, even though people are trying really hard. Well, he's coming up on his 1-year anniversary, and it's also key performance review time for the company. So Bob has been triggered to complete his self-evaluation. So he does what many people do when it's time to conduct or prepare for the performance review. He goes to every single platform across the organization that he's used to try to keep track of what he's done. He's looking at Salesforce and Gainsight and his emails and Slack and Confluence and different documents that he's contributed to, like PowerPoints and Word documents. He's looking at Asana. He spends altogether more than half a day putting together his self-evaluation. He really is looking forward to this conversation. He's invested a lot in his role, and he feels like he's performing really well. He met all of the deliverables, or he delivered on all of the objectives that he had, and he's met his KPIs. In addition to that, his team is actually exceeding their bookings target. So he's feeling really confident going into this performance evaluation. he's rated himself and exceeds expectations because again, he's met the requirements that he felt were expected of him, the deliverables that were assigned and the KPIs that were assigned to him and his team. So on the flip side of this, we'll meet Sarah. Sarah is the director of marketing, and Sarah has 9 direct reports. This is a busy marketing team. It's a growing company. And Sarah, like many managers today, has not only responsibility for 9 direct reports, but she has her own individual KPIs and deliverables as well. So Sarah is a busy lady. Um, she really dreads performance review time because she has 9 direct reports and she spends a lot of time focused on trying to put meaningful, thorough, unbiased reviews together, but it's hard to do across 9 different people. And so she really gets frustrated at this time of year because her HR team is following up, making sure she gets through her deliverables, her evaluation. She has to sit in on meetings where they're leveling across the ratings and making sure that everybody is aligned and how they're evaluating meets expectations versus exceeds expectations. A lot of time and energy are taken out of the day to day, focused on looking back on what has happened rather than looking forward to what they need to deliver next. And so Sarah feels a lot of stress during this time. She cares deeply for her team, but she just feels like this is not the best use of her time. So she's getting ready to prepare Bob's performance review. And what does Sarah do? Sarah spends many hours going through the same systems and documents that Bob looked at. And because she has 9 direct reports, her attention is distributed across multiple people and multiple objectives. And so it makes it difficult for her to start with a blank page, trying to figure out what to put into Bob's performance review. She's evaluated that he's delivered on key objectives and met all the KPIs, and the team is doing well as well. He contributes to that bookings target. But she's lacking real input on how he's doing from the people that he works with. She doesn't have time to reach out and gather input from the people that he works with on these projects. And if she's being honest with herself, she wouldn't even know where to begin. So, based on what she reviewed from the documents and systems, she's determined that Bob meets expectations. She's not super thrilled with the narrative that she's put together to support her rating, but she doesn't have enough time to spend focused on that because she has 8 more reviews to do as well as her regular day job. So Sarah's walking into this performance review with Bob, and she's got him as a meets expectations. And Bob's coming into this performance review meeting with a self-evaluation of exceeds expectations. He's already feeling a little disconnected from the company based on how the last few months have gone, and just because he doesn't feel super connected to the team on a day-to-day basis. How do you think that review meeting went? If this is a great example of some of the review meetings that end up in your office as an HR leader, where you have to navigate missed expectations between team members and help people close that gap, we certainly feel for you. We see and hear this go on a day-to-day basis. And we know that the performance review process is fundamentally broken. And we have been hearing in the market that it is absolutely time for change. And the time for that change is now. We have an opportunity to do better by our people and to make this process much more productive, much less bias ridden, and much less stressful. Fortunately, as a Bonusly customer, you have a lot of the foundational work already done. You've created and nurtured a culture of appreciation and recognition. So more than half of the work is done. That foundation is set. And managers really need recognition that drives action, not just applause. And that is what you have put in place and built momentum around in investing in Bonusly and creating a culture of recognition. You have an advantage because you've already set this ball in motion. You currently have meaningful recognition available in a feed, available in Slack and Microsoft Teams that reinforce and celebrate wins, aligned to key company initiatives and core values. This reinforces what good looks like and helps to set expectations across the company. We've recently released a number of tools directed exclusively to managers to help them better engage and provide recognition and reinforcement. So we're working with you to deliver an experience that helps to set that foundation of what good looks like in the company and to help people feel connected. We know from looking at our user data that the number of incidents or examples of recognition or recognition given over the course of the past few years has significantly increased. In fact, it's more than doubled since 2020. The great thing about using Bonusly to help drive recognition is that it becomes viral very quickly. And as the world was going through significant changes, the expectations for recognition and connection increased, and people came through in that process and really developed momentum around providing recognition and catching people at their best. And in fact, Bonusly users, so your employees, on average, receive recognition more than once per week, which is actually better than what Gallup recommends to ensure high levels of engagement. That means that you're already doing the work to develop or to cultivate that high engagement environment, which has tangible impact on the business. But the recognition is not just feel good, it's absolutely do good. And it's creating momentum around reinforcing what good looks like as it relates to living the values and delivering on key company initiatives. In addition to that, we know that Bonusly users and your employees redeem what we call a points boost more often than redeeming against any other award except for the Amazon, which is very popular, the Amazon reward. So what people do is they collect those redeemable points and they recycle them to be able to give those points to others because they want to keep that momentum going. It's a virtuous cycle of recognition, and people are selfless in their giving to each other. That is a tremendous foundation for driving the right clarity around expectations, what good looks like, who's showing up and really delivering at high levels and really catching people at their best. And what that translates into is a high engagement environment. And high engagement is not just a feel good experience. Yes, it feels great when employees are highly engaged and happy to be at work and delivering that discretionary effort. But what that does for your business is it drives tangible business impact. Companies with highly engaged employees see 147% better financial performance, 23% higher profits, and 18% more productivity than their peers. And on top of that, they see a much lower turnover rate than their peers. So there is tangible business impact for the investment that you've already made in developing and nurturing that culture of recognition and recognition done right through Bonusly. But today's workplace demands modern solutions. The world of work has fundamentally shifted over the last few years. Not only did we have an existential crisis 5 years ago, we've got the dynamic of having 5 different generations in the workplace. The world distributed, the way that we work has fundamentally changed. Where in the past, people were focused on what I'm being paid, how happy am I today, who am I working for, my alignment to my direct boss, how my annual review went, what are my weaknesses, what are the things I need to work on, and my day-to-day job. Now you have much more demand from employees over aligning to purpose, really ensuring you see employees and candidates ensuring that they are going to work for a company who has similar values, similar purpose. They want to be a part of something bigger than themselves. They also want to be invested in. So they're much more focused on what am I going to learn and how am I going to grow? It's not so much about the career ladder, the moving up the ladder. It's much more so, how am I going to expand my skills? How am I going to have more fun and more meaningful and enriching work to do? And who's going to help me do that? So they see their managers as their coach to help them on that journey. The expectations for managers have increased significantly from employees, but the expectations of managers have also increased significantly from companies. So managers are caught in the middle here. And this is where we really have to help them in order to be successful in the new world of work. Managers or employees today expect ongoing real-time feedback and coaching. They want to know if they're doing well or what they could be doing better so that they can meet expectations and grow and learn, and really capitalize on their strengths. They look at the connection between their work and their life as much more overlapping than in the past, where people were so much more compartmentalized. And so it's much more critical that they are aligned with their workplace across all of those factors. It's much less about the 9 to 5 and much more around the work-life harmony and feeling connected to something bigger than themselves and feeling like they are invested in by their company and the team that they're working with. So these changing demands really require different solutions and different approaches. And that's why we built Bonusly Achieve the way that we did. We know that traditional performance management does not work. In fact, 98% of CHROs don't believe performance reviews or performance management in the traditional sense is effective. Not surprising, since the current performance review and performance management process has its origins back in World War I on the battlefield to determine what to do with soldiers, whether they should be redeployed or discharged. So makes sense that it doesn't work in a modern workplace in 2025. 95% of managers are dissatisfied with performance management processes. Sarah's story is not dissimilar from many managers across the globe. Only 14% of employees strongly agree that performance reviews inspire them to improve. Fundamentally, this is broken. And in a third of the cases, the performance review process and approaches actually are seen to make performance worse, which is wild, given the intention is not to do that. It's actually the opposite. So the reality is, what we have done historically does not work to drive performance, and it is not making employees nor managers feel successful or be happy and thriving in the approach that they're taking to delivering outcomes. So we want to introduce you to how you can solve this problem, built on the foundation of recognition and appreciation that you already have in place, with the addition of Bonusly Achieve. So we know that recognition builds trust. People feel seen and valued. People are being caught at their best, and it's being celebrated and acknowledged in the workplace. That starts at the company to employee relationship, that foundational relationship. Employees are striving to work with companies who have similar values, whose vision and mission they can get behind. They want to feel a part of something bigger than themselves. And they also want to be valued for being more than just a producer of output or someone who's delivering work. They want to be seen and valued as a human, as an individual, not just for their production. So that foundational relationship between company and employee are critical. And you have established that not only in communicating and hiring against people aligned to your vision and values, but also in celebrating the humanness of your employees at key milestones like birthdays and anniversaries. You've also unlocked the value of building collaboration and a culture of appreciation and recognition across your employees. You've democratized the ability to recognize people doing their best work. And the beauty in that is that companies, leadership, and managers often only see a small proportion of what people actually do in their day to day and the impact that they're having. But with the visibility that Bonusly brings in the flow of work, and with your employees recognizing each other, manager and leadership views on the full impact and body of work of employees is wildly expanded. And when you build on that and then provide your managers and their teams the tools to ensure that they're having the right conversations at the right time, you not only eliminate that backward looking, stressful experience of a performance review that is highly labor intensive, but you actually give people the ability to have the conversations that impact the outcomes at the time that it can have the most impact on that. And that's in the moment when the work is ahead of you. And so we really have invested in Achieve as that final component of those three critical relationships in the workplace, the relationship between managers and their teams. So recognition builds trust. That trust enables coaching to be effective because people feel valued and don't feel like they're being caught at not doing their best work. So there's a foundation of relationship and understanding, and people feel more holistically evaluated. So when coaching opportunities or guidance opportunities arise, employees are more open to that. Because they are more open to that, they are able to adjust behavior and approach or focus. And that has impact on the performance that they deliver, which then creates recognition opportunities. So it's this virtuous cycle that builds upon itself, all starting on that foundation of trust that you've built in recognizing and appreciating employees. So we believe in recognition done right here at Bonusly, and you might refer to that as smart recognition. It's recognition in the moment that's meaningful, personal. It really tells a great story around how someone showed up and lived the values or achieved a particular objective, and it's publicly shared. That recognition, when it meets the tools that help managers and employees show up at their best in their day-to-day conversations and areas of focus, truly drive performance on a continuous basis. So that real-time recognition from peers and from the company, from managers, flow into the ongoing dialogue in one-on-ones that employees and their managers are having. And then you add to that company initiatives that help align around the key outcomes we need to deliver. That helps us develop proper goals aligned to those company initiatives and gives us ongoing opportunities to engage in dialogue, feedback, both coaching and positive reinforcement that help us on that journey of delivering great outcomes. Because we're doing check-ins and asking people how they're doing, and we're pulling in the recognition at the outset, each one-on-one, each engagement is prompted between manager and employee to do that check-in so that you're developing that relationship that builds upon that trust and really keeps that intact. And then we provide the insights that help your managers really focus on the right talking points, help employees recognize what to bring to the one-on-one and the check-ins that help them have the right conversations at the right time. Many people have used one-on-ones as just status updates. And just like people don't like to be invited to a meeting that could have been an email, people often cancel one-on-ones because they don't offer enough value. That has all changed with the introduction of the new Bonusly Achieve, because we ensure that people keep track of the right conversations at the right time to have maximum impact. So no other platform pulls recognition data into one-on-ones natively and combines that with company initiatives, smart prompts around conversation topics to bring into the conversation, updates on goals and progress against that, as well as feedback to help drive performance effortlessly. So I'm excited to pass the torch over to Sarah, where she'll talk through the key features of Achieve, and then she will actually show you Achieve.
Thanks, Deborah. So happy to jump in. Again, just going to give you a high-level overview of what to expect, and then I'm going to jump into the platform and show you actually how these features look in real life. So again, Bonusly really Achieve really takes things a step further by tying in all of the Connect data you've got into the ongoing one-on-one and coaching that your managers are doing. I hate to admit this, but I know I personally have had an employee that maybe we had an early morning one-on-one. We just get going, get started. It's 4 hours later, and I see on Slack that it's their 1 year work anniversary. Not if I had had Bonusly Achieve. So it really connects the recognition data and the milestones and important things that are going on to make sure that the conversation starts with what's important in that relationship building, and then transitions into what matters. So we've got a lot of functionality around AI-powered transcription and smart agendas based off of previous conversations you've had, which creates a better conversation so that you're not in that kind of routine of, do you have anything to talk about this week? No, I don't. And then you're really missing that disconnect in relationship and coaching opportunity if you're just not having that weekly or semi-weekly, whatever your cadence is, time of connecting. It really makes sure that these meetings are efficient and focused, and not just purely status updates, really that they're aligned and reaching towards goals. We also have great feedback functionality, which turns managers and even other colleagues into coaches. It's sometimes hard for employees to ask for feedback, but especially younger generations, that's what they want. They want it in the moment, they want feedback, and they want it regularly. So Bonusly has some great tools that provides nudges and opportunities for employees to get that regular feedback that they're seeking easily, as well as makes it easier for managers when they're giving that feedback to make sure that it's in the form that's most helpful to the employee. And again, we've got goal functionality as well, which I'm excited to show you. This is all tied in with the recognition data and the one-on-ones, so that you as an HR admin are really able to provide great updates to your leadership on the things going on in your organization that boil up and that are important. And lastly, like Deborah mentioned, we understand that performance reviews are broken, but we've got a tool that will hopefully make them a lot less painless. So the way that our performance recaps work is they take all of the great information and things that are going on in Bonusly. So that means the recognition data, the feedback, the things going on one-on-ones, the transcripts, and really puts that in a format on a quarterly basis that's usable for your performance reviews. So really is a time saver. It puts it in a format that's easy to digest, and should save you hours. And like the story that Deborah told at the beginning of the meeting, it avoids the situation of having to log into 5 different systems to collect what you worked on. It's leveraging all of the great recognition and one-on-one conversations that you've had throughout that time period to put together that recap. So now I'm going to jump into the product. Give me 1 second while I bring up my Bonusly. Alrighty. All right. So this should look familiar to you all because you are Bonusly comfortable customers. So you should have an understanding of the feed and how it really does give a show of everything going on in your organization, what good work looks like, as well as tying all of that great work to your core values. And like Deborah mentioned, we've launched a lot of great tools for managers lately. For example, we've got this Your Team on the left panel to try to nudge managers and get them to interact with the platform. But really, we still see that oftentimes managers struggles to keep track of their team's work and accomplishments, and that's where Bonusly Achieve comes in. So now I'm going to hop over to the feature that you're probably not as familiar with as is part of Bonusly Achieve. So we'll start with the team page. This is an initial hub for managers to see a high-level view of their team. It's got smart summaries here based off of AI of where their team is shining today, as well as views into participation trends across the organization over time. This really gives broader visibility to managers of what's going on in their teams. We understand that managers are busy. We want to make it really simple for them to get a good understanding of the recognition and the things going on their team. And then take it a step further by digging into those one-on-ones. So I'm going to take a look at Daniel, one of the direct reports here of this manager's account I'm in, and we'll take a look at what that one-on-one experience looks like. All right, so this is the one-on-one between Daniel and his manager, who also is named Sarah. You'll see first that the activity summary is in here. So again, not going to miss an important milestone. All of the recent activity in Bonusly, whether it's recognition or feedback, is right here on the right panel. That's oftentimes a great conversation point for managers and employees to start to make sure that they haven't missed something important. Next, they've got the ability to use this pulse check at the top. This is for the manager and the employee to indicate how they're doing. It's going to share across the board. So let's say I just got back from vacation, which is true. And then it's going to prompt the team member to actually share that as well. Again, another good way for managers just to keep an idea of what's going on their team, how somebody's doing before they jump into kind of the meat and the potatoes of the meeting. We've also got this smart suggestions here. So this is based off of AI. The really great part is we recently launched transcription within Bonusly. So for example, if I had Daniel join this meeting, I could hit transcribe. And it's going to provide me a summary here, as well as smart suggestions of what I should talk about the next week. So these are always going to change and are great places to add to the agenda. You can have kind of that running notes or checklist that you're used to as far as a one-on-one. But the value here is that we're taking those transcriptions and what's actually happening in the meeting, and providing you and managers recommendations on how to take it a step further and hold team members accountable to the things that you've previously talked about. We also have goal functionality. So these are going to be tied in on the individual level, and then they're boil up, which I'll show you in a little bit, to the admin level. But these are going to stay on the meeting agenda as well until they've been closed out. So it makes sure that managers and employees are kind of constantly having conversations around the things that they should be making progress towards. So that's a high level overview of the one-on-one functionality. We've got historical data in here as well. And it's a great way for managers to interact with their teams. And the one-on-ones, I saw there's a note, are the one-on-ones kept personal between the employee and the manager? Yes, they are personal between the employee and the manager, but we do have some kind of compliance checks for HR if you need access to those logs, but it's meant to be a personal conversation between the employee and their manager. Now I'll show you the feedback functionality. This is a great tool that managers and employees can use. I'm going to show you from the manager perspective how easy it is for a manager to give feedback to their employee and really to put it in a format that makes sense, and really is easy to translate and be actionable for the actual employee. So we ask 3 simple questions here. I've simply typed out this in advance so you don't have to watch me type, but we ask for the situation, what they did, so the actual event, and then the ideal outcome. So maybe what didn't happen, but what you wanted to happen. And then Bonusly is actually going to help me craft this using AI to turn my thoughts into feedback that is really well crafted and easy to understand. So a manager can just drop in some bullet points, for example, on those previous points, and it's going to turn it into something that is forward thinking for the employee. Obviously, we've got a chance for the manager to review it as well. But this is a great starting point, especially we know managers are on the go, often team players as well. So this gives them the opportunity to give feedback and share it with their employees in a really easy to use way. They can also write their own feedback if they don't want to use the AI tools, but we found that, especially for managers on the go, they're really enjoying that AI functionality. The last thing I want to show you on the employee side is the performance recap. So we've talked a lot this meeting about performance reviews. This is where it all ties in. So quarterly Bonusly is going to automatically generate a recap of this employee's performance. They can also be generated ad hoc if you have a different review cycle, but they're automatically going to be generated. The goal here is that managers no longer are starting with a blank page and having to search in multiple systems to be able to complete their performance reviews. Recaps here are created and are summaries based off of the topics, notes, and updates that have been provided in the one-on-ones, the recognition received during that time, as well as the feedback. We've got a lot of exciting improvements we're making to this, but we have already gotten feedback that this is saving managers and employees hours and hours upon kind of going into those different systems and compiling their information for their reviews. Now, last, I want to show you a look at the admin view of what Achieve looks like. So we're going to hop in there. First, we're seeing the kind of engagement levels. So this is going to give you an idea as far as who's using Achieve to prepare and what better conversations they're having. You're able to see adoption rates, so the amount of employees that have adopted the Achieve one-on-one functionality, as well as you're going to get insights that you typically wouldn't have as far as the meeting cadence and how often managers are meeting with their employees. We also have some tracking for those goals that we mentioned. So you're going to have those individual goals that were on the individual goals that were on the one-on-one agendas, but those are all going to roll up into these actionable company initiatives. So you can see here I've got 5 initiatives that I've added in as well. And now let's hop in to see how those goals are associated. So admins are going to have clear insights now into the goal accomplishments and alignment across the organization, and they can see it in this aggregate fashion, which can give them the opportunity to give kind of really streamlined updates to the leadership team as far as what's going on at the organization and take things kind of a step further if they want to dive into the detail. So a great way to connect kind of the one-on-one day-to-day work that the team's working with those larger company initiatives you have to report back to leadership. So that's a really high overview of Bonusly Achieve. And I'll turn things back over to Deborah.
Thank you so much, Sarah. Sorry, I have had a little bit of Wi-Fi issue the second half of this webinar, so apologies for the disruption there. Hopefully you're as excited as I am about the power of Bonusly Achieve and what it can do for managers and their teams. We add structure to every one-on-one, but we do so in a way that is highly configurable to individual teams or companies, connecting praise, feedback, and goals all in one place, making it simple for managers and their teams to know what to talk about and when, so that you don't miss key insights, key updates, and most importantly, key milestones for individuals. You want to ensure that you're consistently, as a manager, able to tap into the full capabilities and impact of individual team members and not lose track of any important updates. Recognition is really the foundation for continuous performance. And as Bonusly customers, you've already put in place a really solid foundation to reinforce what good looks like. Most of the work is already done. And as you know, you have this viral impact of positive reinforcement feeding into not only the Bonusly feed, but into day-to-day conversations. So Achieve brings those to a whole new level of power in those relationships. And it's all inside the Bonusly platform, easy to use, easy to access, making it really simple for managers and their team members to show up at their best in those conversations, keeping track of what's most critical so that they can continuously impact performance. So I want to just reinforce, if you have any questions, please feel free to drop them into chat and we'll begin responding to those. But as far as next steps, we'll launch a poll here just to see if you'd like to access a 30-day free trial of Achieve, learn more about Achieve by chatting with your customer success manager and learn how it might impact your workplace, or if this is not a good time for that, that's also okay. You do have time to access Achieve in time for traditional end-of-year performance review processes and really save your managers and your team members loads of time, but more importantly, making those more impactful conversations happening all along the way. So reducing the stress associated with the performance review process as well. So I'll just take a quick look at chat to see if we have anything. No open questions? Okay. We'll take one more minute to get your poll responses, and then we can wrap up here. All right, if we can go ahead and close out that poll, Adrienne, that would be great. I want to thank you all for taking the time to learn more about Bonusly Achieve. We are one email or one message away from supporting you with next steps related to evaluating Bonusly Achieve for your own workplace. Bonusly is really committed to ensuring that we provide a platform that allows you to cultivate and nurture the most critical relationships in the workplace, the one between company and employees, employees with each other, and managers and their teams. So hopefully you saw some value in what we can deliver from a manager and team member perspective in our new Bonusly Achieve. And we're excited to be chatting with you more about it in our upcoming meetings.